When we shot that scene, it was pretty intense. I mean, at least on my side, it felt intense.
The moment felt so real and so powerful. It was really magical. Oh boy. This is so bad. KJ, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I was shading the beard, but it's really bad. Like I think a 2-year-old would have done a much better job. I'm scared. I'm so sorry, KJ. You don't look like this. Wonder Woman, my Gal Gadot, who I gave an award to. Oh God, I will never do her justice. Oh, okay. I'm a huge fan of Wonder Woman, and the other day I presented an award to her at the MTV Awards, and she posted me on her story, and I almost had a heart attack while I was doing press. I started with her face and her hair, but it's really not good. Yeah, I drew very long legs because she's an Amazon. And I drew her big wavy locks, and I drew her crown, and she's holding a sword. What, you guys? This is gonna be so, I'm so sorry, Kim. So funny, I was just looking at this dress the other day. Okay, I'm starting with the face and the It's a beautiful McQueen dress. Oh boy, this is so bad. Oh, it's really, really bad. My drawing looks not good. I'm gonna put it away now. Although I think this was my best. That was my best work. Harry, stop! You guys. Okay. I wore a Mrs. Styles t-shirt to a One Direction concert. Okay, I'm done. This is my best one yet. It just says, I love you, Harry Styles.
It wasn't easy to spend a lot of time with each other on set just because of the safety precautions during COVID. But we hung out a few times outside of set and got to know each other pretty well. But I feel like that distance that we had shooting the movie kind of worked for the characters.
We had to bond very quickly because, you know, everything moved so fast, not only the filming wise, but casting as well. I was cast on Thursday or Friday, and I had to be on set on Monday, and we had to shoot all of those really beautiful, romantic, and intense scenes. So we had 2 days to create and bring to life this epic, impossible love story. And we got together and we spent all of Saturday kind of writing Nico and Sarah's love story from the beginning up until you meet them in Songbird. Like the first moment that he heard her voice, how two people can fall so deeply in love with each other, but despite never having been in the same room together or having breathed the same air, it's kind of extraordinary and just gives so much hope for the world that a love like that is possible. So yeah, we kind of like dove in head first to these characters, and we were in this together. And you know, shooting was really intense and challenging in the best way because it moved so fast. Obviously the situation that we were shooting in wasn't typical movie shooting situation, so we were just there for each other and checked in on each other and made sure that, you know, we were doing okay and felt good about our work.
No, we didn't have to literally do it in slow motion. That would have been weird. But we did that, and it was interesting because we hadn't really been that physical previously to everything we've shot up until that moment. So when we shot that scene, it was pretty intense. I mean, at least on my side, it felt intense just because we hadn't really touched physically like that before.
Everything was happening fast. I mean, that scene was, I think, the most exhilarating scene that I've ever shot, because since this movie was shot so unlike any other film, there weren't typical camera and lighting setups. Like in a typical movie, you shoot one side of the scene, and then you shoot the other. So the only action that happens is whatever's in front of the camera. But this time it was only one camera capturing everything, so everything had to happen at once. So as the fire truck was pulling in, I was being pulled out, KJ was coming in the motorcycle, the military was coming at me with their guns. Everything happened real time for a span of 10 minutes. We ran to each other, we almost touched, we got pulled away. And then it's that moment where, for us, it literally felt like all of a sudden time stopped. And because of COVID, our physical interaction was basically non-existent. So it was, I think, one of the first times that we had touched, and it was definitely the first time that we had kissed. And, you know, I think we had become so entranced and so involved in our characters. The moment felt so real and so powerful. It was really magical.
I think I had my shirt off on most of the movie, but there's a few times where you see it, very small moments. Oh, I guess with the bike moment and stuff, yeah, too. I was in pretty good shape. I think I was, you know, it was in the middle of quarantine. I had really nothing else to do at that point in my life, so I was working out a ton. I spent a lot of time riding a bike just because I knew I would be riding a bike a lot, and I wanted it to look, you know, like that was my job and my sole purpose in life was to do that. So I was riding a lot outside of set too.
You know, like you said, it is the first movie to ever shoot during a global pandemic, which is historic and extraordinary. And, you know, production and Michael Bay and our director, Adam Mason, set the standard for how movies are shot from now on during COVID. So the actual production was incredible. You know, to keep it safe for the crew and for the actors, we had COVID testing, PCR and antigen 4 to 5 times a week. The crew was very limited, so it was not a typical blockbuster size crew. When we were on set, the only people allowed were the actors, our director, and generally just our DP who was operating camera and maybe one person for sound. Like, it was very limited, which made it that much more intense and heightened for us as actors, because we didn't have that many eyes looking at us, you know. It was like we were by ourselves in this apartment telling the story as if it was real life, with the camera just happening to follow us. So it just made everything that much more real.
Probably shooting with Michael Bay was really fun, just because he is such a huge figure in Hollywood, and he's done so well at doing what he does. So actually seeing him in real life and working with him was really humbling. And just watching the way that he works is really cool too. I think that was my favorite part for sure. I think actually our movie is very hopeful at the end. We get to see Nico and Sarah reunite with each other. And we also see that the COVID situation in our movie, the fictional version, also ends with a lot of hope too, because I think it's starting to get a lot better.
In our minds, like, you know, they escape, you know, they're on the motorcycle and they escape. I think it's to Lake Tahoe or somewhere up north where there are very little cases, and Sarah's immune, Nico's immune, so they can be together and have this beautiful love story and be together. And, you know, hopefully by the time the world has a vaccine and things are coming back to normal, and I think maybe Songbird 2 would kind of follow what the world looks like post-COVID 24. Do you know what I mean? Like, what our reality looks like, how the world comes together again after all this darkness. But it would be really beautiful to kind of see our two heroes lead the way in that sense.
So this season is pretty interesting because we're starting 7 years ahead of graduation. So I'm excited about it to play closer to my age, but the same character is an interesting thing. I think there are a lot of things that can come from that and a lot of cool storylines and stuff. And I know the writers are brewing up some really good stuff for the fans. Absolutely, I'd love to have her on Riverdale. We just need to tell Roberta, but she's a busy girl. I'm sure she's got so many things going on. For sure. I would love to be, I'd love to do that. I gotta finish up on Riverdale first and get my head back to Brown, I think. But, oh man, I can't decide that. That's a big one. Growing up was always Spider-Man for me. Spider-Man's always been my favorite Marvel character. But Tom Holland is absolutely killing that role. It was difficult. I actually went out right when I got offered the role for this movie. I was on a road trip just by myself in my truck going across Arizona. And I think I was in Salt Lake City at the time when I heard about the script and talked to Adam Mason about it. So yeah, I mean, I did find myself sitting around for a long time working out. There's so many times you can work out a day and read and stuff like that. So I decided to pack up my truck and go for a trip for about 2 weeks.
Well, luckily I was with my sister, so I was not completely alone. And our biggest form of entertainment was our dog, Joey, who is just the love of our lives. And he's incredible and just the cutest ball of joy. So, in the beginning of lockdown, my favorite part of the day was going on walks with Joey. I would go on hour-long walks and just walk him all over my neighborhood. But my sister also kind of took on cooking in a pretty incredible way. And she's like a chef at this point. I unfortunately was not born with that gene, so I didn't develop that skill. And luckily I've been able to work quite a lot. So that's been a blessing.
Yeah, I think it's super important. I mean, only to speak for myself, it's super important to be talking to people. I think it's really easy during quarantine to lock yourself in and to not talk to your friends or keep things to yourself. I think the most important thing is to talk to people about how you're feeling.